everybody, welcome back. So hopefully now the Sky Engineers are due out today. Hopefully this means I can get back to doing more regular content. The last few weeks have been incredibly stressful in most part because I haven't been able to chat to you guys as often as I'd like, and it's been a real struggle trying to keep up with the royal news. And it couldn't come at a better time because this weekend is Trooping the Colour and I cannot wait to sit there to watch it all and then to bring you some videos on it. But for this video, we're going to start off with the Prince of Wales as promised. It's a slightly older engagement because I am, of course, playing catch up, but I'm sure you won't mind because Prince William is in his army fatigues. The Prince of Wales flew by helicopter to Wattisham in Suffolk to pay a visit to his younger brother's former regiment, the Army Air Corps, to meet with the soldiers and their families. In May 2024, Prince William was appointed their Colonel-in-Chief, a position that at one time would have been handed down to Harry, but as we all know, Harry decided to leave for a somewhat different life. As for the ACC, they are the combat aviation arm of the British Army and they were formed in 1957. They train in the UK at several locations, including Hampshire, Suffolk and Somerset, for combat missions all around the world, with recent deployments to Germany, Finland, Sweden and Estonia. The regiment are often recognisable more so because of their light blue berets. And yes, I know that he's there for, an official position, but can we just say that Prince William, the army fatigues, the blue beret matching his gorgeous blue eyes, he really is aging like a fine wine. An incredibly handsome man. His Royal Highness watched a combat training session and also learnt about the 664 Squadron's operational lessons for overseas tours, and then also spent time looking at the various maps and technologies, including the online tracking of soldiers taking part in NATO military training in Norway. He also took his time meeting with various family members of the soldiers and getting involved in handing out sausages and bacon sandwiches for the weekly social event called the Archer's Breakfast. And he was more than happy to take his time chatting with some of the military children as well. He really does show his natural dad parenting skills coming through. Kids flock to him the same as they do the Princess of Wales. He made a promise to the soldiers that he would speak about improvements to the living conditions of not just the barracks but also the family accommodations. Clearly a few of them are unhappy, and to be honest with you, it's one of the things that pisses me off the most, and it's something that not just our current government are guilty of but our former governments as well. We do such a good job at honouring veterans at several important days throughout the year, every single year, but there's so much more that should be done for serving soldiers and their families. Most of them have got young children and babies and they are living in conditions that are well below standards. Now, Prince William is of course a landlord himself and he is striving and listening to the residents of the Duchy of Cornwall, and he is doing his best to improve their living standards. So I think with that in mind, I'm pretty certain that Prince William will take this as far as he can. Prince William, you can tell, is such a likeable person, and I'd imagine that there were a few of the friends and family members that were there were probably liking Prince William as well. I mean, how could you resist? That salt and pepper beard is just, I'm really glad that Catherine decided that she liked it. It was previously reported that if she didn't, he wouldn't have it. But obviously Catherine, who is an incredibly gorgeous woman herself, she has also been out on another solo engagement. The Princess of Wales has paid a visit to a new Victoria and Albert Museum in East London called the East Storehouse, and it is based in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, becoming the 6th V&A Museum in the UK. The new building is offering the public a chance to get closer than ever to objects in the Victoria and Albert collection. Catherine became the first royal patron of the Central London V&A Museum back in 2018. The collection of museums hold the world's largest displays of decorative arts and designs, and it was originally founded in 1852. The East Storehouse allows people to watch staff at work and to peek behind the curtains, as it were, to understand how objects are collected and are cared for. They get to see the items and the artifacts that have previously not been displayed, whether it's due to the fact that they couldn't fit because of their enormous size, or perhaps they are items that can only be displayed on special occasions. Catherine, who left university with a degree in art history from St Andrews, looked to be thoroughly enjoying herself, especially when it came to all of the fashions and textile departments. Kensington Palace said Her Royal Highness's engagement today is all about highlighting the importance of creative opportunity and celebrating the power of creativity to bring us all joy. Now, from bringing opportunities to people to an opportunity being missed for one particular ex-royal residing in Montecito, who was formerly called a duchess, but I think after this video not many people would be able to say that without giggling. After the latest round of news that came out regarding a special event for Meghan being cancelled, I can only imagine that there are toys being launched out of the pram over in California. But hey, I suppose it makes a change from Harry being the one that's normally doing it. Meghan's big night where she was to be honoured at the Los Angeles Natural History Museum has been cancelled due to the LA riots. This was going to coincide perfectly with Trooping the Colour and the King's birthday, so I can imagine she's probably very upset not to have her moment when all of the royals will be heavily photographed across magazines and newspapers, outlets and TV stations all around the world, of course, over the weekend, and we're not going to have Meghan marching up and down a carpet, latching onto as many people as she can so she can stay on the carpet for even longer. There's going to be no hand pushing her and no crook pulling her off the carpet this time. I can only imagine that Meghan would be raging. She's not going to be upset about the plight of Los Angelinos, but she's definitely going to be upset that this one moment of hers has been taken from her. But I would not be surprised if Meghan now is not frantically trying to arrange a pap stroll. So you've got to think to yourself, do you think that we get a car park pap stroll? It has been a while since we've had Meghan being photographed pretending that she can't see the paparazzi as she advertises something on her body or her wrist. Do you remember the little stickers? She was oh so discreet with that. Just walking around like, oh, can you see this? Can you see this? Merching, obviously. Now, of course, she might take it a little step further and she might actually pap stroll with the children. She could be getting ready to do that. We have seen more of the children this year than ever before, and we did get a partial reveal of Lily's face on her birthday, didn't we? We got her eyes this time. Who knows, this time maybe we might get the lips and a nose and someone can do a jigsaw to see what the child actually looks like. But at this point, I'm sure that not many people care anymore. That's nothing to do with the children. I think people are just over the games that their parents play with the media, whilst also saying, why won't we be left alone? Can you please take our pictures? Can you please report on this? Please leave us alone. We don't like it. Obviously, Harry has now given his permission for Meghan to use the children at every opportunity, and I think Harry would give his permission to do a full face reveal on his father's official birthday, Trooping the Colour, because Harry, for some reason, seems hell-bent on doing everything that he possibly can to try and upset and hurt his father and make sure the media attention is on him rather than, you know, the king. And this is quite a big day for the king because it's his official birthday. When we saw the pictures of Harry and Meghan at Disneyland with the children, there was one photograph in particular that I've seen people discussing because some people thought it was the crying makeup artist Daniel Martin. It's not. It's the children's nanny, is my belief, given the fact that this looks like the same nanny that was at the barbecue with Archie, I think, from the year prior. But she looks like that she's pushing Lily's head down. Obviously, Archie's face is obstructed with the shape of the car on the ride, but it looks like that Lily's face is being obscured and, you know, the child is ducking down, which I think is just completely bizarre, but it does make me think that they will be saving up the big reveal for maximum coverage, maximum exposure. Will it be Catherine's next birthday? Will it be the King's Trooping the Colour? The fact that Meghan has now had her one shining moment taken away from her this weekend, it could be the time. But whether it's just Meghan by herself in a car park or it's the children or the backs of the children, you can be certain of one thing. Meghan is definitely thinking about her options and toiling over a big cauldron as we speak in Montecito. So speaking of stirring cauldrons, oh wow. Well, this story will not surprise many of you, but it is, honestly, it just shows that Meghan has thin skin, if you weren't aware of that already. So I'm going to cast your minds back to many years ago when Meghan was talking about her hardships to Oprah and how the evil royal family had stolen her voice. She was Ariel from The Little Mermaid. But Meghan, in all honesty, is less of Ariel and definitely more the Sea Witch, and I'll tell you why. So Brooke Shields, she has done a podcast which has now been taken down, and she has incurred the wrath of the Sussex Squad because she said something that has been perceived by the Sussex Squad standards as microaggressions and racist. Obviously, nothing of the sort. So it all comes down to Brooke was being candid on India Hicks's podcast. She was casually talking about lots of stuff. I haven't listened to the full podcast, but I did catch this segment that's doing the rounds. And I don't think she said anything that bad. She was talking about her time on the panel where they appeared together. It was March 2024. Meghan came out wearing burnt porridge coloured bed sheets, her favourite colour. You know, the royal family forced her to wear beige and bland. I think that was another big porky pie. You can't get the woman in colour these days. But it came to Meghan's turn on the stage and she brought up the when I was 11 years old. I'll let Brooke tell you the story.
God, did I tell you?
No.
Oh God, I don't know if you'll have to cut this out, but you might. I don't know. You'll decide later, okay?
This is the best bit of all.
This is the best bit of all. So, I don't know if I'm going to get hated, but I get a call from Katie Couric, and she's doing South by Southwest. So she starts talking and telling a story about how when she was 11, and she keeps saying, well, when I was 11, I saw this commercial and they were talking about washing dishes and only soap for washing dishes was for women. And she said, I didn't think only women wash dishes. It wasn't there. So I wrote to the company. And when I was 11, I wrote my first letter, and then I was 11, and she kept saying she was 11. So she writes to the company, they change the text, they change the commercial. And I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious. And I go, I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. The place went insane. And then luckily, it was more relaxed after that. And I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't think I'm rude. I'm not being rude. I was just sort of.
I think it's genius.
It was just too precious. And I was like, they're not going to want to sit here for 45 minutes and listen to anybody be precious, or serious.
Now, first of all, you can imagine that Meghan would have been seething. She did look pissed off at several points in the photographs that were released from this. I remember when it came out and I wondered if something had happened. Now I think we're beginning to find out. Meghan was obviously talking. Brooke made a joke because Brooke has a personality and is actually funny and doesn't take herself too seriously. And you can imagine Meghan would have been internal rage and furiously blinking, trying to keep herself together. Meghan does believe that she's the most important woman in the room at all times. It's not her fault. It's her narcissism that tricks her into believing that. But can you imagine, Meghan, the fact that the crowd all laughed and it all loosened up after then, yet Meghan's moment would have been interrupted. We know that Meghan does not like that. Meghan is what Mariah called her, and that is a diva. In the positive way. So anyway, this obviously has kicked up quite a stink with the Sussex Squad because they get upset over absolutely everything. And I do think that Meghan does talk to some of them, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Meghan was very upset. So this podcast has now been taken down, and I think it's got to do with the Sussex Squad abuse who have obviously been activated or given their orders, and the fact that Meghan is not happy about it, because Meghan, she tries to act that she can have a laugh, but you've seen it yourselves on her With Love Meghan show. She's stiff as a board. That woman cannot relax. People have said she's constantly thinking. When Meghan is having fun or laughing or smiling, you can tell she's thinking in the moment of trying to look like she's having fun. But I cannot get my head round why Brooke Shields calling Meghan too precious is what has caused this outpouring of rage. You can call someone precious, like your friend's baby, like, oh, isn't he precious? Because it means he's cute, he's adorable. You would die to protect that gorgeous little bundle of love. But she meant it that Meghan was just being too forced. She wasn't relaxed. She was basically a pole up her ass. But for Meghan, who says that, that her voice was taken away from her, I think that she has silenced a lot of people with NDAs. We found out when they went to that school in Harlem that they got the teachers and some of the students and the parents of the children to sign NDAs so Meghan could release what she wanted to. It was all about propaganda. But I find that absolutely disgusting. Plus the fact they promised that they'd give huge donations to that school. I think it was like a box of vegetables they got in the end, because there's been no follow-up to say otherwise. And Harry and Meghan like to do a big press release every time they actually do something. But it's also the staff. When you think about all of the bullying accusations, I think there is a lot worse out there, but I think that Meghan gets her staff with the NDAs. When they leave the employment, they're not allowed to talk about their former employers. I am of the personal belief that if you've been bullied out of your job, the NDA should be null and void. But if you have left your job because of that, the last thing you want to do is fight with solicitors to say, hey, I can speak out about it. You wouldn't. You just want to leave, sign it off your CV, pretend it never happened and move on with your life. But for this podcast to have been taken down, it's not the first time. We've seen articles being taken down. We saw what happened to Alison P. Davis after the Cut magazine came out, and it was funny if you haven't read it. She was taking the piss out of Meghan, taking herself too seriously, that Meghan was trying to portray this fake image that she was kind and caring. I mean, she got the security to pull over, as Meghan got the security team to take a rucksack over to a homeless guy with some crunchy nut bars or something in them, and it was all done. Alison was like, she knows it was a performance, basically. Well, poor Alison, after that article went down a storm, Meghan, I believe, got her the boots, because she was then put on sudden unpaid leave. And I just can't help but feel that Meghan is always making out that she's a victim. It was her voice that was silenced. I'm sorry, I watched that story unravel when she joined the royal family. Meghan has been anything but silenced, and she's certainly never been silenced since. I mean, that woman just doesn't know when to stop talking at times. I'm sure the world could do with a bit of a reprieve. So as for Brooke saying that, she was just being a bit too precious, she was just taking it all a bit too seriously, I tried to lighten it up. The fact that that podcast has now been taken down, again, shows that Meghan is completely thin-skinned. And rather than Meghan being naive and young, Ariel on The Little Mermaid, that had her voice taken from her because the evil sea witch tricked her, Meghan is in fact the evil sea witch that tricked the dumb prince into marrying her, and she's also managed to turn one of the world's most popular members of a royal family across globally, Harry was. It wasn't just in the UK, it was around the world, into one of the most unlikable members of any royal family around the world. And you have to admit, that was quite the magic trick in itself. On that note, guys, I'm out of here. I will be back with you very soon. I'm really looking forward to watching Troop in the Colour on Saturday, and I will be bringing you more content because, fingers crossed, we're about to get the internet back properly. So take care for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye!